Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Drinks and Dystopia, a podcast where we discuss the hermeneutics of sci-fi.
Hermeneutics? What does that mean?
Hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the methodology of interpretation. It's normally biblical, but it can also mean literature and philosophical texts. So we are studying the hermeneutics of sci-fi. Boom.
Right. Not hermetics?
Yeah, it's probably it.
Hermeneutics.
Have I taught you a new word?
Yeah.
I taught you something that never happens.
Drinks Dystopia. Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm alright. Long time no see.
I know, it's been like 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Well, I've seen you every day.
I know, like literally every day.
But they don't know that.
They don't know. Yeah.
Where have we been?
Oh, where haven't we been? Lots of places we haven't been.
Last week we went to the one place on Earth that has no internet. That was interesting.
Yeah. Where was that?
When we went for a wine tour in
oh God, yes.
in they call it the hinterland
yes.
of Australia.
Yes. In Stanthorpe.
No internet, but lots of wine, so that was good.
Yeah, who needs internet when you got wine? As long as you've got lots of one or the other, you're fine, I feel.
We did a very loud version of this podcast with our friends, just didn't record it.
No, that's right, yeah. Otherwise known as a conversation.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
But we're back, and are you ready?
Oh, I don't feel like I'm ever ready for these.
Your mind is going to be slightly blown.
Yeah. It's going to be glanced. There's
going to
be a glancing blow.
There's going to be a flicker of a flame of a blow.
Yeah, that's good. I'll take it.
Well, so what are you drinking?
Mountain Dew.
What?
Mountain Dew.
And
whiskey?
Is there whiskey in it? Really?
No.
No.
It's just I don't have any alcohol.
I'm not peer pressuring you. It is like what, 3:00 on a Sunday?
Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon. I'm not sure if I should be drinking, but now I can smell your beverage.
Oh, I'm drinking some beautiful wine. Which after the wine tour I thought all cheap wine would now taste like swill, but obviously my palate is shit.
But but that's a good thing. You don't. It'd be the worst if, like, as you drank more wine and had good stuff, you dislike the old stuff. It's kind of like food. I was thinking, it doesn't matter how good food I have, I still love a McDonald's. You can't go wrong, you know. Imagine though if you ate something and then you didn't like McDonald's anymore. That's not even a world. I mean, that's a dystopia. We're not talking about dystopias.
Well, that's weeks. That's what the thing is this week.
Oh no, I can't. It's too close to home, that one.
Okay, we have quite a big backtrack.
Oh, okay.
And I think that some people may even have found the podcast because of the things we said on the last podcast.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
We may have insulted, for comedy, not because we actually dislike the person, but we may have made some jokes about a person who had a sentient chair, and that person may have passed away a few days later.
I think we killed Stephen Hawking.
I think we killed Stephen Hawking. I think that our jokes were picked up by the chair.
It knew. It was
the
like,
AI
they're
knew.
onto us. Yeah. We need to draw a line into this. Because if they've picked it up on
Those two idiots.
Dystopia, yeah, everyone else must be onto us.
Oh no, but I was really sad and I did feel bad, and I got a few messages and everyone understood that we were joking and stuff, but I did feel bad. I feel like partially I was to blame somehow.
I feel like you were partially to blame as well. I mean, you know I shouldn't be allowed to talk about things. You know this.
Well, just a warning to everyone, be careful or we will talk about you on this podcast, and 4 days later, bam, the AI will get you.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. I read an article about Colonel Gaddafi about 3 months and then before the war, and bang, now he's dead. So, read into that what you will.
Yeah, I listened to a Michael Jackson song once, and then guess what? He died one day.
Yeah, I know. That's the power we have.
This is mocking the dead.
half the course, really.
We've learned nothing in our 2 weeks.
No, that's right. I do pride ourselves on that no matter how many of these we do, how many times we have to backtrack, we never learn anything. I think that's good. No lessons are ever learned.
Yeah. That's a quality people lack these days.
Yeah.
Stupidity.
Well, I think that's fine. I think not learning from your errors is something which you should...
True Darwinism.
Yes. We're celebrating Darwin by not learning anything and just striving onwards into oblivion.
Okay, I have a mini question for you.
Go on.
I'll read my notes.
It's okay.
I see
Sorry.
you. I see spying on my notes.
I cannot help but cheat. If I see somebody written something down, it's like transported back to school. I have to look over your shoulder.
Okay, so this week's question, I came up with this a few weeks ago when we were going to do a podcast because it was British Mother's Day. And
only British Mother's Day.
It is actually. I think Britain is the only one that has that Mother's Day because America, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, they all have the same one, and we have a different one. I don't know why.
I just like the fact you called it British Mother's Day. It just sounds like it's not. Oh, it's Mother's Day in the UK. It was British Mother's Day.
It's only British mothers. And if your mother isn't British, it's not a day for her.
I like that. Yeah.
So I was going to say to you, what are the best sci-fi mums?
Ooh. The best sci-fi mums.
Now, I had some time to think about this.
Okay.
So I've come up with some good ones, I think.
Go on.
But do you want to go first? See what you can come up with?
I'm trying to desperately just think of a sci-fi mum. So you've got Spock's mum.
What? That was such a weird jump to. So many people are in things as the main character as a mother.
Really?
And you went to a character I've never seen. Who is Spock's mum?
Well, she's
human.
She's played by Winona Ryder, isn't she? In the new ones.
Oh, shady, right?
Well, I mean, can you think of... Well, go on then.
Okay, well, first, Mrs. Incredible.
Okay.
Elastigirl, she's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Jane Jetson.
Yes.
Although, arguably, a robot does do most of the work in that house.
Yeah, there's definitely a... she lives a life of luxury, really, doesn't she, and leisure.
Okay, I'm gonna lay a big one on you.
Oh, go on.
I think maybe the winner. Sarah Connor.
Oh, yes, of course.
I thought you'd come up with that one. Sarah Connor.
I can't believe I didn't come up with that one either. Yeah.
She has to win, right?
Sarah Connor has to win. And, although, am I right in thinking that Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, doesn't Ripley have kids?
I've actually written Ripley down. So, Newt. Because I reckon she adopts Newt, doesn't she, by the end of the film?
I thought she already had kids back on Earth, though, anyway.
Oh, well, then she's a terrible mother.
Yeah.
She's gone away and left them.
Maybe. I can't remember. I'm sure because when she wakes up, they're like everyone... Because she's frozen, isn't she? In Aliens, she's been woken up hundreds of years later. And don't they tell her, like, oh, your kids and your husband and everything back on Earth are dead? God, it's been that long since I saw the movie, though, even though I love it.
You're not selling her as a great role model right now.
Well, no, you're just saying, like, the best sci-fi mums. I mean, geez... Ripley's is amazing. She's one of the best sci-fi characters ever.
But she gets to be best mum because of Newt, the way she looks after Newt.
Yeah.
That's all I can judge her on.
So you can only judge her on how she treats some, like, homeless kid she finds on a spaceship.
Yeah, and a cat.
And a cat.
She treats the cat well.
She does treat the cat well.
No, I have to judge her on what I see.
Okay.
I'm not going to be like...
Well, she's a really good mum. She kills the aliens. What more do you want?
I'm agreeing. But I'm saying if we're judging on Newt...
defensive of Ripley now.
If I'm judging it on the kid she left back on Earth and abandoned, not great.
Well, she didn't abandon them. She was doing a job, trying to earn money to support her family, whom she loves.
Where?
She's doing her bit. She was just trying to do her bit. How could she have foreseen that they would come across aliens that would impregnate themselves and then burst out your chest? She couldn't have possibly foreseen. That's not one of the risks they wrote on her job when she took it. I'm sure. Like, you might have to be away from home. You might have to do overtime. You might have an alien burst out of your chest. I don't think they put that.
Do we count the alien as a good mother?
Oh, interesting.
She gives birth to all those.
The queen.
Yeah, the queen. She has all those little alien eggs. She looks after them aggressively. Some may say.
So, yeah, that's true. What about Queen Amidala?
Now, yes, that she is a good... She does never get to meet her children because she dies of a broken heart.
Yeah.
But she does get her kids away from the psychopath that is their father, so...
And she gives birth to Luke Skywalker, who
And
is
Leia.
the hero, and Leia, who are the heroes of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, but she doesn't really have a hand in that, in their upbringing.
No. So what you're saying is, because, okay, I'm misunderstanding
I'm not
the
just
question
saying,
here.
let's say mothers of sci-fi.
I thought you said, like,
who's
the best character who is a mother in the sci-fi,
No,
but you're
who's the
saying who's the
best
best mother
mum?
who happens to be in a sci-fi film. Right, okay. That's weird, but okay. Yeah.
I suppose it's a bit of both. It's a bit... So surely they go hand in hand.
Not
If
necessarily.
you're a good character, and your character is a mum, then you're a good character.
Yeah, true. But well, you could be a really, really good mum because you brought someone up really well, or you could be a good character as a mum because you saved the world or something. But that's not necessarily the same thing.
Oh, I'm talking about the kids. Someone think of the children.
Because like Sarah Connor's not a good mum.
Yes, she is. She saves him. She goes out of her way.
See, now we've just switched places here.
No,
I'm just
she
saying,
saves her son. She goes to a mental institution because she refuses to stop believing that someone's trying to hurt her son.
yeah, but we this is bonkers. I just said we have the character and they're a good mum because they saved the world. And you're like, no, they have to be a good mother.
No,
and then
not
she
the world.
abandons her kid and he has to be adopted by other families because she goes bonkers.
She doesn't abandon him. She's telling them, you need to look after my son because Arnie's coming. And they're like, you're crazy. And so she's being a good mum because she refuses to give up the fact that she needs to care. It doesn't work, obviously.
No, it works terribly. She gets put in a mental institution. And her son is brought up by, well, they're quite a good foster family, to be fair, and they don't get what they deserve. But, like, she, as far as she knows, the world's going to end. The only person who can protect her son is her, and she still gets herself thrown in a mental institution. So, like, that's not good mothering.
That's
but
society's
at the same time,
fault.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, she gives birth to John Connor, who saves the world, saves all of humanity. So that makes her a good mother.
Yeah, that's why I think she's good, because she covers both bases.
Right, okay.
But Mrs. Incredible is pretty great.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's a superhero. She looks after 3 kids who, let's face it, are brats.
They are. They're horrible kids. They are horrible kids.
No, they're not horrible kids, but they're hard work.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them at all.
Although it looks like in the new Incredibles, in Incredibles 2, in that trailer, that Bob the dad is going to be a stay-at-home dad, and she's going to go off, and I am so excited to see that.
Disgusts me.
It's your dream. It's your dream to be a stay-at-home dad. Do nothing but look after children.
I don't want to look after children. I'll stay at home and look after puppies. And
hire a nanny.
Yeah.
You'll be Jane Jetson.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be Jane Jetson. That is who I want to be.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you have a creature feature?
I do have a creature feature.
I know you quite well, and I feel like you just gave me the look of, I'm gonna make some shit up. Was that the look?
Okay, I don't have a creature feature. Not one that is technically, true.
Okay, ooh, tell me your fake creature fact.
My fake creature fact.
Fake fur news.
Yeah, fake fur news?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know about that one, but okay. The Australian wombat, as we are in Australia, this is very appropriate. Yeah, you're very happy.
I think this is the fact that my favourite fact in the world. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is it the one that the wombat has cube-shaped poo?
Wombats poop cubes! Yeah, I love that fact!
It's a great fact, isn't it?
Why don't you get off the plane? They're like, welcome to Australia. Over here is a didgeridoo. Over here, wombats pooping in cubes.
It is incredible.
Does that mean they have a cubed butthole?
I assume so. Yeah. That's pretty
not
impressive.
even fake fur news. That's real news. That's true.
That's a real feature based on a creature.
He just threw some poo at you and it was cubed.
Yeah.
M equals MC.
Cubed.
Poop. I don't know.
Good effort. It's a good effort.
Okay. Oh, good job.
Yeah, see?
Okay, this week's New World Rule comes to us from Thom Jones. Not the Thom Jones.
That's not unusual. But yeah.
You made that joke last time.
I know, every time it won't. Doesn't matter how many times I do it, it's just because he just reminds me of the green grass at home, so I can't stop doing that joke.
Well, we've mentioned him before. Thom Jones. He does run an amazing Twitch, which I had to discover what Twitch was.
Yeah.
Didn't know what Twitch was. It's where you go and watch people playing games.
Yeah.
And I can't play games, so that does appeal to me to go and watch and see what the hell they're doing.
Watch other people do.
But people do art and stuff on there too. But anyway, he's got a Twitch channel called Cereal, spelt like the food cereal, Arsonist. And you should go on there and watch him and my sister play beautiful computer games.
Yeah. What games do they play?
Oh, Lee. All the games.
All the games?
All of the games.
Yeah. Do they shoot things in those games, or do they build things in those games?
There's pixels in those games.
Loads of pixels?
Yeah.
Different colours, or?
Oh, all the colours.
All the colours?
All of the RGB.
Yeah?
White colours.
All of the LGBTQ colours.
What is it? What is it?
RGB, red, green, blue.
Yeah. No, I do know a few games they've played. They've played The Sims. They played League of Legends. LOL. They played some Lego games as well.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But they do, and they do it well.
So what is Thomas?
Oh yeah, now that I have completely
yeah.
told people to go and listen to that. Okay, so Tom has said that we should go back to 2011 and we should look at the film In Time. The classic film, Justin Timberlake. And we should use that as our new world rule this week. So, in this world, time is a currency.
Oh, okay.
When you get to 25, your body is then turned onto a clock and you earn hours of your life by working. You can get given them as gifts, you can inherit them, you can even find them if they're being stored on basically a capsule. You can pass them off to people and store them and things. So how do you think a world would work if everyone knew exactly how long they had to live and their work controlled that?
So this is a bit of a Logan's Run type world.
In a way, but Logan's Run, there's no way you can improve that.
No, you're stuck with that age. But why? Okay, so why do they kill you at 25? Why do they give you a death clock at 25?
Just so that everybody has a default amount of time to get used to the world, I think. You can still die. You can still die from a car accident or something. Yeah,
but what I mean is, because in Logan's Run, I think the whole idea is that they can't have old people because the society can't sustain old people. So I can't really remember. But what's the reason in this movie why they want to kill people? Why not just let everyone live until they're old like everyone else?
You heard me say Justin Timberlake's in this film.
I mean, yeah, that was the first alarm bell, was when you were like, let's go back to this classic sci-fi with starring Justin Timberlake.
That was ironic. I was
like, oh dear, it's got Justin Timberlake in it. So
it's not a great film. It's not a great film, but it is a very cool idea. And I can't really remember the reason. I'm sure there's one they say in the film at some point.
Well, this is quite important because it's why would you have this situation? So what happens if you run out of time? Does someone just are you hunted, or do you have a bomb inside you that blows you up, or what happens?
I did have a look on Wiki a few weeks ago, Wikipedia, and I think what I gathered is either they've stopped people's biology from aging at the age of 25, so you stop aging, and then it's only when you're earning time that they sustain your cells.
Right. So what?
So it's society has done it to stop overpopulation, I'm guessing.
Right. So what happens when you run out of time?
You die.
How?
Your heart stops and you die.
So what's the mechanism for that?
There's a digital clock on your arm that
right.
counts down.
Okay. You've got no idea, have you?
No. That's what we're doing. We're not using that exact film, we're just using the...
But you see that's a key aspect of this.
Let's discuss.
Okay.
That's what we're discussing.
Okay.
We're not using the film exactly. We're using that as a base to decide the world ourselves.
Okay, so it's just a world which is very similar to that. My first question, why? Why is there people...
Okay, there was once a guy.
Yeah.
Let's call him Clive.
Right.
Clive was dictator of this world, and he was like, I don't like all of this aging.
Right, okay.
Getting old sucks.
No, I'm with Clive so far. He's got my vote at the minute.
So, what I want to do is, I hate all of this money, who's rich, money thing.
Right.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make your working life more valuable and meaningful, and you're actually going to be working for time. So I've got my top scientists, and they have stopped They've sent out a disease into the world
Okay, it's a disease, right? Okay.
that genetically alters everyone's DNA so that at age 25 they stop aging.
Yeah.
And then there's nanobots in them. Their body is flooded with nanobots.
Yeah.
And electronically they're told to keep going as long as you've worked enough hours to keep them going in your bloodstream.
Right.
To keep you at age 25. For as long as they can do it. They can do it forever. Like you can
So
live...
why not let people just live forever? What's the reasoning behind? No, we can't
because
let people live forever.
your body is still your body. It'll just deteriorate and die if they don't do this.
No, I know that, but why not just... What is Clive's reasoning?
Okay,
Why is
okay.
he like,
Well,
okay, you're a
then-
25-year-old, you're going to live forever, and you're like, oh, great, I'm going to live forever, I've got nanobots inside me, they'll make me live forever. And he's like, no, I'm going to deliberately make those nanobots kill you. You'd be like, why, Clive? Why can't we all just be immortal together?
Okay, well, luckily me and Clive also discussed this.
Right, okay.
So, let's say that Clive tried that.
Right.
Clive was like, everyone lives forever! And the rich were like, huzzah, I'm rich. I can live forever as a rich person. And the poor were like, this sucks, but now I'm going to live forever. And I'm going to get that wealth.
Mm.
So, because they live forever, they don't have to go to work anymore. There's no need to, because I'm going to live forever, so I can just do whatever the hell I want.
I'm seeing a flaw here.
Oh,
They still need food, though, don't they? And they still need clothes and jam donuts and stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, so how about
I Wikipedia what the plot of the movie was, so then we know?
I would love you to.
Yeah?
I love that you think there's going to be more to it than what I've just said to you.
Well, all I want
There's
to
no
know...
Clive, but you need to know that. I've made up Clive. This is not...
I just really want to know
Wait, use my phone.
what the reasoning behind all this is, because I'm struggling to wrap my... I can't
Why
really...
can't you just talk about the concept? Why do you need the... Like, if I just asked you to discuss aliens or something, you'd be like, why are we in space? Why do we build spacecrafts? Why are we on this journey to this foreign planet? Why do we need to do that?
No, but if you were like, we went into space because Earth was dying, so now we're in space, I'm like, okay, cool, that makes sense. But if you're like, okay, everybody has got hats on all times, I'm like, why? And you're like, they just do. I'm like, I don't understand why. Just take the hat off. Like, no, you've got to wear the hat. I'm like, why? Why do I need to wear the hat?
But this is why it's not classic. Okay, you ready?
Yes. I'm just wondering if there's
In
something...
Time is a 2011 American dystopian sci-fi action thriller film. Jeez. Written and directed by Andrew Nicole, who is the person you should be asking these questions
Okay.
to, I'd like to say.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. This takes place in society where people stop aging at 25 and each has a clock on their arm that counts down how long they have to live. The film will be released on October 28th. That's all you get. That is all there is.
That's the whole plot of the movie.
There's a bit more.
Yeah.
So it's 2,169. People are genetically engineered to stop aging on their 25th birthday.
Yeah.
All people then develop a green glowing digital clock on their forearm. When the clock reaches 0, the person times out and dies.
Right.
Time has become the currency. You can transfer it between people. That's literally it.
Damn, there's no... Right, okay. I will persevere with this because it's an interesting idea. It just infuriates me that there's no reason.
Well, okay, this is what I'm saying to you then. Most of the time when we do this podcast, we take something and we go, what would happen? But okay, let's decide. This film has not given us a backstory.
Yeah.
So what is the backstory? Why do you think a society in the future would get to a point where they genetically engineered humans so that they died unless they worked?
Right, okay. So... Yes,
We're going to reverse engineer this film.
It must be an overpopulation thing, right?
Yes.
Do you see? It's like if everybody can be genetically engineered to stop aging at 25, there's no reason why you would ever die because we only die because we age.
Yeah.
If we had no aging, we'd be immortal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they must be like, well, we can't all be immortal. We need to thin out our numbers somehow.
That was what I was just about to say to you.
Yeah.
You gave it a go. Everyone was mortal for a while and they were
Yeah.
like, this isn't going to work. People are still having babies. There's too many of us.
Yeah. So we need a way to thin out the numbers. How will we do that? Well, everyone gets... So you get, I don't know, another 50 years or whatever, and then you can either, depending on how much work you do, a currency. So yeah, time becomes currency. So then you get more time depending on how useful you are to society, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
Because if you're really useful, people will give you time.
Not necessarily. If you're rich, you don't have to be useful at all. You never have to work a day in your life if you're rich in time.
If you're rich in time, yeah, but the whole reason you're rich is because you are useful, isn't it? If someone's given you that money to begin with, as in someone's given you that time.
Yeah, but if you're a child of
a rich person,
yeah, then
you get more time.
Yeah, you're just gonna live forever.
Yeah. So it'd be like strictly hierarchical.
Yeah, and the rich people would always be the rich. Like the gap between poor and rich would become huge, wouldn't it? Untouchable, because if all the poor are dying constantly, and working for every hour to live, they're not going to be able to try and take over or do anything because they're going to keep working, otherwise they literally will die.
Yeah.
And then the rich just keep inherit their money. And
so how much time is there? Like, is there a big vat of time?
No, I think it's endless. You can just keep earning it forever.
Right, okay. So who gives you this time?
It's not said in this film, but I guess it would have to be a government,
Like
wouldn't
the government gives out time?
Yeah, and it would have to be surely a world government. Because otherwise you could leave and die, or leave and... Yeah, so you'd have to have a world government for this to work.
Yeah, because people would leave the country, wouldn't they? Because they're like, oh, I'm going to die because I had a couple of days off sick and now I can't afford to pay my life rent. So now I'm going to die.
And like in the film, from what I remember, I saw it a long time ago, his mother is a drug addict, I think. So he is dividing...
A drag addict? She really likes RuPaul. Okay.
So she's dividing her time up, but he's dividing his work hours up between the two of them.
Right.
And when you go to prison, they don't send you to prison, they just take away your time.
Just take time off you.
So at one point they think he's murdered someone, so they just give him 3 hours left.
Oh, right. Okay. That's interesting.
It's weird, isn't it? Because in a weird way, like, obviously money is time. Like, you can live better when you're rich, but at the same time, when your currency really is the moments you're going to live, it's going to mean a lot more when you go in for that pay rise.
Yeah, like you're asking for more time to live. Give
me more life for the work I do. Like, it takes on so the world would be a lot more dramatic.
Yeah, and like it would. So you go into your boss and like, or someone would say I was somebody's boss. They'd be asking me for more time to live. So, but why would you not give somebody more time to live? Why wouldn't you just be like, yep, okay, you can have more time?
Yeah, you are right. There has to be a limit, doesn't there? Because otherwise, yeah, you would just keep everyone. Yeah,
it's an interesting idea, but when you actually think about it, it's like, how would this actually work? Because, yeah, why wouldn't everybody just give each other more? Like, you just like, okay, I'm going to give you a pay rise of 1,000,000 years or something. Why not? If it's unlimited time.
Maybe it would be a system where it was bracketed. You know, like in the government, how they pay people in the government.
Yeah.
Where if you were this level job, you're allowed to get paid this. If you're this level, then you get paid this. And that would be a government-run thing. Because government's giving out the time, so it's not really your boss that decides. It's just what bracket you're in, and he can decide that bracket for you. But
yeah, I think you're right. It would be very interesting how they did this, because it would be like... It'd have to be like an all-powerful totalitarian government in order to, because they'd have to have the software which allows you to live longer. They would have to have the time and be the ones that can give out time.
Yeah.
Everything would have to go through them, because otherwise you could just, people would just be, like now banks can create money out of nothing, right? They can use, with fractional reserve banking, you just sort of create money. Well, you just create time, wouldn't you, for people? And so it'd all have to be very, very strictly monitored and regulated by the central government, wouldn't it?
Which is ironic, because I feel like in this film, that's not really done. It's just about the rich and the poor. That's all that happens. It's just about the rich elite that inherit their time and have endless amounts of it. To the point where I think at one point he steals a capsule of like 10,000 years and then just divides it among all the poor.
Yeah. Well, I imagine the movie is just making a class war.
Yeah, which is a shame, because it could be so much more interesting to be more of like an Orwellian.
Yeah, like how it would actually work.
And So I was writing some stuff down because I was wondering which way this conversation would go, and I was thinking that maybe, do humans want to live forever?
Ooh, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because in some ways, I think we do, and in other ways, probably not. But then how much of our desire to, not desire, that might be too strong a word, but how much of our belief that we don't want to live forever is just because we're born into a system where we know we can't live forever, so we rationalise it.
It's like when people pretend they hate rich people. They're like, I would never want to be that way. It's like, yes, you would.
Yeah, like everyone wants to be rich. That's just the way it is. And I think that we've sort of, it's like that guy, isn't it, Aubrey de Grey, the scientist who's trying to basically cure aging, and he wants to cure death.
Singularity guy?
No, that's a different guy. This is an English fella, and he was like a Oxford or Cambridge, top scientist. And he's like, aging is just a disease like anything else.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to find out exactly what causes aging. And obviously, it's like free radicals in the body and oxygen and all these sort of different things that break down your DNA, which means your cells can't replicate as accurately. And as they replicate, over and over and over, they slowly degrade, which is why your organs slowly degrade and then you die. And he's like, well, if we could stop that process, if we could stop those free radicals from damaging the DNA, if we could stop all this sort of stuff, we would essentially never age. And not only would we never age, we would actually be youthful again, because if you could repair all your DNA, you would be at your peak physical. So you would be about 25 or 20.
I think that's the idea, is that you're at your peak at 25. That's why you stay there.
Yeah.
But this is the funny thing, is it's so hard. I don't think you can ever have a conversation about it realistically, because people think of aging, you think like, oh, I wouldn't want to do that forever, because you see a decline. But yeah, if there's no decline... But I did see a great comment, someone online, and it felt like they weren't just a person, it was their book. Someone had written a book about it, and they were like, imagine a lazy, boring Sunday afternoon forever. What a shit way to talk about living forever.
Yeah,
that's not what it's going to be, though, is it?
This is what I mean. Like, this Aubrey de Grey guy is like, I've seen documentaries with him and stuff, and his whole thing is that people... all he ever gets is pushback from people going like, oh, humans aren't meant to live forever. You're just afraid of death. You're not accepting the reality of things.
Humans aren't meant to have heart transplants.
Exactly, and that's his whole argument. He's like, well, humans are lots of things we're not meant to do, but we do, and we don't. No one says like, oh, we shouldn't have operations. You're meant to die at 23. You're meant to have a cavity in your mouth and die from it, like we used to back in the wild. Yeah, and it's like, but when he talks about death, people are all like, no, it's supposed to be that way. And it's because we want to rationalise it and make it sort of... we want to glorify it almost and deify this whole experience because we can't do anything about it.
I think, though, like, for me, like, when I think about this... Because I talked about this briefly in work once with some people. And, like, I think this distinction always is... For me, when I even think about this, I think everybody... Because I think of it as a science thing. So everyone I know would also have this. Whereas I think when most people consider this, they think of just themselves for some reason being able to live forever.
Yes.
And that is such a big distinction, because for me it would be a scientific thing that would make it happen. So everyone I love would still be there. So that changes everything.
Yeah.
It's just you.
That's it. I think people, when they're like, do you want to live forever? People go, no, because all my friends and family be dead. And what's the point? You're like, well, if you've got some sort of weird gypsy curse, then yes, everyone around you would die and all that sort of thing. But this is not that. This is a situation.
Not a curse. Oh, you mean it's like one of those, like, the devil comes, like, in Rick and Morty, and he gives you...
Well, yeah, you're like, I want to live forever. But everyone else dies. Yeah, it's that sort of thing. And everyone's like, no, why would you want that? And you're like, no, you idiot. If we have immortality, it's probably because of a scientific breakthrough. Not because, you some hocus-pocus magic.
And also, let's say, right, we get the science to live forever. If you then decide... I want out. You can.
Yeah, at any moment. You can just shoot yourself in the face. You'll be that,
Well, let's not do that. But...
Well, yeah. You might as well go out with a bang.
Okay, I've got some philosopher know-how to back me up here on my position.
Oh, go on.
This isn't the philosopher...
What is your position, though? The philosopher's backing up?
That it's okay to live forever.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This isn't what he meant by this at all.
Right.
But Socrates says the unexamined life is not worth living. Surely, if you can live forever, you can examine every single part of it. Therefore, an examined life is definitely worth living forever.
Right. Okay, I'm with you. I can sort of see where you're coming from there.
We got a bit off track. In a world where you're using time as currency.
Yes. So it sounds like this movie was using money, using time for, because they wanted to make the point of like, oh look, if money was time, which it kind of is, because you work for money, and money, you work over so many hours, you get paid per hour, blah blah blah. So money is time, and time is money, as they say. They were like, see, look, the rich people can just live forever, whereas the poor have to work just so they can, make it to the next day. So it was just a sort of, what's the word?
An allegory.
Almost an allegory.
An allegory.
Yeah. Okay. So it was essentially,
you know who hates allegories?
Who?
Tolkien.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a great quote that I can't remember about allegories, and he's just basically saying that like a story should exist on its own. If you write a story to exist to tell a point or make a point, it is never going to be a good story. An allegory should come naturally in a story. Yeah. And when people used to be like, is Lord of the Rings actually talking about this? Be like, no, it's talking about some elves doing something that I kind of based on something else to get an idea. But no, I'm not trying to make any points. I'm just trying to say that this is how I think it would happen. And if you learn something from that, all good.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Can you think of any films that are really good that are hardcore allegories?
No, not really, I suppose. They're sort of, yeah, you're right. It's got to be a good story first and foremost, hasn't it?
Yeah, and then you find things in it.
Yeah, you find messages within it.
Like The Incredibles. The Incredibles is an amazing film, and you need things in it to keep the story going, but I don't think they sat down and thought of the points they wanted to make first.
No, you're probably right. Yeah.
No more allegories. Right? I'm looking at you.
But yeah, this movie sounds a little bit ham-fisted, perhaps, in its sort of...
Like our podcast.
Yeah, which is why we're talking about it. Because it's as ham-fisted as us. But it is still interesting, I suppose, this idea. There's just so many loopholes in it, though, that it's hard for me to sort of think about it too much, because you just think, well, why wouldn't everybody just... If you could be immortal, why? And the government are like, no, we're just going to give out time. Why wouldn't everybody just storm the government and be like, no, we all want to live forever?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You'd have to be heavily policed.
Yeah. Because that's like and that's the difference. That's why it's not the same as money. Because money is all about, well, okay, if I do something for you, you give me money. You do something for me, I give you money, and we all do these little transactions and we accumulate money. But this, like the fact they're just giving out life to people. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're playing God, aren't they?
It's almost impossible to separate those two, though. Do you see what I mean?
In what sense?
Well, if you don't have money,
yeah,
it is basically a death sentence if you have no money. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it is, but
it's also not. Whereas this 100% is.
Yeah, that's the difference. Is like, well, it's.
If you run out of money, you can go help me to a charity, and you won't die. Like they might help you, hopefully.
Yeah.
Whereas in this world, when your time runs out, you die on the spot. Like you're dead.
Yeah, and it's like, and you could be the richest person. I mean, Steve Jobs, one of the richest men who ever lived, and what if he died like 50, whatever it is? Yeah. It's just like that's just the way. And then you could be this homeless people have lived till they're 100. Because it's just like it's the lottery of life, isn't it? Whereas in this world. There's no...
Why would you have children into this world?
Yeah, that's a strange world to live in.
Unless you were so rich that you could then guarantee them time. When they get to 25, you'd be like, well, I've got another 25 years for you. That's your birthday present when you're 25. If you can't do that, why would you ever bring a child into the world knowing that they may die at 25? But then I suppose no one knows how long their kids are going to live, so this is a hard one because
but how would you have rich people in this world? Do you know what I mean? Because it's again in our current world it makes sense. You don't need a government, for example. In our current world, the government could disappear, But money and stuff like that would still exist because it's something which would naturally, spontaneously, whether it was gold or whether it was food, or there'd be some sort of currency, so people could still do trading because people are always going to trade skills and goods. Yeah. Whereas in this world, if there's no central government, everything falls apart because it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they like we just said, they'd have to be a big government. So maybe the rich people in this world would be the people that came up with the technology. So like people...
So they just give themselves loads of life.
Yeah, the people that invented time, basically. Arm time.
Yeah. But that's not a good thing. All they've invented is nanobots that kill you or something.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying in this world that would be...
That's a good thing.
That's the height of technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe because you are 25 forever, maybe they've invented... Like entertainment and stuff would be really popular, wouldn't it? Because people... who were rich would need something to do with all of their time because they're not working.
Mm.
So maybe, it's just the same way as this world, isn't it? Whatever people need, the person that's providing that
gets all that time. I don't know, it's a bit weird. It's a bit of a strange one, I suppose. It's just a bit of a strange one because it would be...
I suppose that's the problem, isn't it? Because it is an allegory. It has big gaping holes.
Yeah. It doesn't quite stand up to scrutiny when you think about it, but it's an interesting idea that you could trade time very well.
How would law and order work in this world?
Well, as you said, which is quite interesting, they don't send you to jail. They just take time off you.
From what I can gather, maybe they do. Maybe
it's just what you can have. You can go to jail, or you can just have time taken off you, depending on the severity of your crime, I imagine.
But I suppose, isn't it the same? If you've got 100 years on your arm, and they want you to serve 50 years to life, just take 50 years off you.
Yeah.
You've just lost 50 years of your life.
Yeah. Do you think... would it make murder less important, though? Because let's say you look at their arm, and their arm says they have 7 years left to live, and you kill them.
You can take that 7 years.
Yeah, well, could you be like, well, in court, they only had 7 years left to live anyway when I killed them, so I can't get a life sentence, that's not like for like. They had 7 years to live, I had 7, I'll sacrifice 7 years.
But that's unfair, because it can...
They could keep topping it up or whatever.
It's not a definitive thing. Maybe you'd have an argument if like that's all you get. And that's 25. It clicks on. Oh, and that's it now. Like in Hang the DJ, that Black Mirror episode where they just get told how much time they have.
Yeah.
Then maybe you could say, oh, but I didn't really kill him because he only had like 10 minutes left to live.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could do that in this world.
It wouldn't fly.
I think it'd be worse. I think murder would be 1,000 times worse because
you hypothetically could live forever.
Yeah.
If you just kept working, if you just kept doing your minimum wage job or whatever, and they just kept giving you a few extra hours or something, you could essentially live forever. Yeah.
So it's worse. You can die though from accidents and stuff. I wonder if I suppose your family would inherit your time.
Yeah, I suppose so. And what about things like, like now if you have like a parking ticket and they're like, oh, it's like 50 quid or 100 quid or whatever. Imagine this one, like you were down to your last hour or something. You're like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to do a big shift today. I've got to do this thing and I'm going to get an extra like year's worth of life. And then you got a parking ticket and it costs like 90 minutes or something. You'd be like, oh no, this parking ticket is going to kill me.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose everyone would be so much stricter because you'd have to.
They don't have money. If time's the only currency, all fines. Imagine you had an overdue library book and it pushed you over. It's like, we're going to charge you 15 minutes or something. You're like, no, I've only got 12 minutes left to live.
Especially if the book was like, how to make more time for dummies.
Yeah, the sweet irony.
I think, though, in this film, one of the ways they deal with that is they have, like, zones, and you can only cross into a certain zone if you're a certain amount of time.
Oh.
So they basically segregate the poor completely away. And I wonder if what that means is that, like, crime can be proportionately punished.
Yes.
So, like, if you're a rich person, you commit a crime, you get a lot more taken off you because you have more.
Yeah.
Than a poor person who would only have.
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to do it as a percentage, wouldn't you? Like, oh, this crime is 10% of your life left, whatever your remaining life is.
Yeah, is that weird to think that, the apartment building you'd live in would be determined by how much time you had and stuff. It's kind of like a little bit like that Black Mirror one we were talking about a few weeks ago, where the likes determine, your Facebook likes determine your standing in society.
Yeah, God, that'd be weird. That'd be so weird because and also you're paying things with your life. Do you know what I mean? It's like giving blood or something to pay for something. You're kind of going, all right, well, I've got, a year's worth of life, but I need to pay on my rent, and the rent's going to cost me 9 months or something. So you'd have to pay the 9 months and go, I'm down to 3 months.
God, yeah, do you think you'd literally pay for how long you lived in the apartment?
Maybe.
You pay, like, for a day, you give them a day.
Yeah. But then some apartments, it costs you 2 days for a day.
Mm-hmm.
And some apartments, it costs you 5 days for a day.
It's weird. It's a hard one. I wonder what people would be like because of it. If they would be more considerate to each other. Because the moment of death is looming in all times.
Yeah, it would have to make everybody very... it would have a massive effect on your psyche, wouldn't it? Like, you'd be dealing in death, life and death, every moment of every day. Because you'd be very aware that, I've just taken so much time off this person's life. And
not just you'd be able to constantly see your children's...
Yeah.
And your family and friends as well.
And how would you feel, if you go into, I think it would make people, hate each other. It would break down all society because you'd be in the situation where you'd have, your child or something and someone would be like, that costs, 3 days worth of life. And you're like, you're going to take 3 days of life off my kid because you want... And they're like, yeah, And...
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because it would mean that, in a weird way, yes, some people could live forever, but for other people, time would be the most sacred thing ever because they'd be constantly working for it. So you might find that, you'd have to have policemen that would kind of judge dread.
Yeah.
That would have to, at that moment, decide for you because you don't want to go through lengthy court processes because you can't make time and you're losing time. It's like a double whammy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everything would have to be done instantaneously because they'd be like, well... We don't have time to delay anything because that's literally all we have is time.
This world would be full of puns. just constant.
Yeah, it would be. I was so convinced then when you were saying that, that you were going to say, do you think people would worship clocks and stuff? Because at some point you'll always say, will people worship whatever it is that this weird rule of our world is?
No, but celebrities in this world would be the person who had the most time, surely.
Why?
Because they would just, they would be a celebrity, you show their arm and it would be 1,000 years and everyone would be like,
oh, I see what you mean. You mean that people who have lots of time would be celebrities, not celebrities would be people who have lots of time. Because then you're because I was like, that's it, that's all they do. It's just do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If there's a rich person and you never know what they do, but they do photo shoots and they're just showing you their time and it says 1,000 years, you'd be like, whoa!
Yeah, but they would be celebrities because they had lots of time.
Yes.
But other people would be celebrities because they were funny or because they were, they were good actors or whatever, or sportsmen.
I suppose.
So, yeah, it's the other way around rather than the only people who would be famous would be because they have lots of time or vice versa.
Well, do you think as well, if you've got the technology to genetically stop people aging, that you'd have the technology to heal people really fast if they do injure themselves?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Like a car accident or something.
Yeah, they just put you back together again and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Just heal you.
Oh, it's so weird. If you could live as 25 for 100 years, you'd try everything. You'd be covered in tattoos and then have them taken off you and stuff, because I imagine that would be quite easy in this world by the time this technology happens. But they never mentioned nanobots in the film, by the way. I just thought that.
You just assumed that was how it worked.
Yeah, because why would a whole world allow a government to genetically engineer human beings?
Yeah, and it's...
You'd have to be chemical warfare, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They dispersed nanobots into the air and they just invaded everyone and they were like, right, guys, you all need to know this is happening now.
This is just the way it is now.
This is how it is. And if you want that time, you gotta work for it. And people could be like, no, we're gonna fight it. Be like, great. What's your name? Boo!
We'll just turn you off.
Yeah, we'll turn you off. We'll take all your time off you and we'll take it off your kids too. How do you fight that?
Oh shit, that's a good point. There was nothing you could do about that.
So I think the nanobots adds a cool... Because it is an electrical display on their arm as well, so...
God, imagine that. Imagine a world where the government could just do that. Just keep putting nanobots in everybody and they go, now, if you ever say anything against the government, if you ever do anything, we'll just press this button and turn you off.
Yeah, because say they were a wanted criminal, no matter where they are, you just deactivate them. You don't have to kill them, you just have to knock them out. go find them.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
And they'll know where everybody is because you have nanobots in you, so you could just be like, well, there's their nanobots. It would be like a tracking system inside you, wouldn't it? Like being chipped.
Don't like it. Don't like it at all.
It sounds very scary.
This is one of those worlds that is a dystopia or utopia, depending very much on where you are in society.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Can you live knowing other people are just dying willingly? No.
It'd be pretty awful, even if you were rich, time rich.
Don't you think like people would just go out of their way though to give out time to people? Like how Bill Gates gave away 99.9% of his fortune.
Well, he's going to. He will
when he passed away. Surely, like, you get people that did that. People would just go, I've lived for 200 years. I'm done. I've got 1,000,000 years saved up. I'm just going to give it out to people.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'd like to think for the longer you live, the wiser you become.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable. Sorry, we're both yawning. It's unavoidable to become wiser, surely.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, as you got older, you would. But then you're not getting older, I suppose. But you would get wiser, wouldn't you?
So what would they say instead of getting older?
Yeah, I don't know. You were. I don't know.
Taking.
Oh, ticking.
Just ticking away.
Progressing. You're very progressed.
I'm a progressive person.
I'm very progressive.
Okay. Well, would you live there?
No.
No, I'm the same.
No.
Not even if you said, oh yeah, but you can be one of the people that has like 1,000 years.
Yeah, it doesn't seem... There's lots about it I can't really wrap my head around, which makes it difficult for me to sort of agree or disagree to it, but...
Living forever only appeals if everyone can.
Yeah, kind of. Everyone should be able to, or it's going to be... You're going to lose people who you like and stuff, in which case, yeah. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like this idea. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
So it's a dystopia, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's a dystopia.
I think it's a dystopia.
Dystopian future.
Any sort of world where they're like, yep, everyone's immortal now, and they go, yeah, and we're going to artificially murder you and make you work like slaves. That can't be a good place, can it?
I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking
about. Yeah. I am a bit of a softie.
I was going to say, what movie is this supposed to like, which I normally ask you, but it's very obvious.
I don't know.
In time.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Is there... I'm trying to think.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run, yeah, that's a good one. Kind of 984, because the government would have to be controlling every element of your life.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. That's about it. Minority Report? Bernard's Watch, what's that?
Bernard's Watch was a TV show, British TV show when I was younger. And you had to watch and press it and stop time.
Oh.
Go around, do what you wanted, and restart time again.
Oh, okay. Good. It's nothing like that.
It was great. My annoyance and stuff like that is always... Oh, that's another thing. Stopping time is a different thing.
Yeah. You're going to stop that because that might be a future episode of Stopping Time.
Okay, cool. So, where can we find you?
Oh, nowhere. Nowhere.
You still nowhere?
Still nowhere. I really like it in nowhere.
Well, if you want to find us, you can find us at drinks_dystopia on Twitter. We tweet a lot on there and tell you guys what's going on, especially if we're going to miss a week. Or you can send us an email, drinksandDystopia@hotmail.com. Let us know what you think.
We have missed a few weeks, haven't we? A week or two?
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
We've been very, very busy, haven't we?
But, on the plus side, we do this podcast for fun.
Yeah.
So, does anyone mind?
Tanya was so close to telling you to just deal with it. But she couldn't bring herself to do it. Too polite.
We got some beautiful little sad gifs from people when I said we were posting it.
Oh.
Some crying stitches in the rain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's broken my heart.
I know. And we have some special guests lined up.
I'm lost.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We have some special guests lined up that hopefully will come and talk some nonsense with us.
Yes. We probably do need somebody else's input because I think it'd be good to see somebody else's perspective on these sorts of things, because I think we probably go down similar routes with most of these ideas.
I think me and you have very similar ideas as well. We're not exactly
yeah,
opposite ends of any scale, are we?
No,
apart from height.
Yes, very much so on that one.
Lee is much taller than me.
Yeah.
That's where we are opposite.
Yeah, but I think we do sort of we think along similar pathways, dependent.
The lazy ones.
Yes, the most obvious ones.
And we watch the same films, so we have the same
Yeah.
references. No, we definitely will. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
See you, Dystopias. It's a plastic.
It's a plastic cup as well. That's not good.